my name's Ara. You've reached my channel, Cosmic Vibrations. I am going to be doing a general reading for the sign of Leo, Leo Sun, Leo Moon, or Leo Rising for the month of July 2018. And so let me just jump straight into it. And if you happen to have a birthday, an early Leo birthday at the end of July, happy birthday. I myself am a Leo, according to Western astrology anyway. In Vedic astrology, I'm actually a Cancer. But even in my Vedic chart, I have 3 planets in Leo still. Maybe sometime I'll do a short video about the difference between Western and Vedic astrology and the mathematics involved. So, this is for Leo, July 2018. It'll be interesting for me to see if this applies to me. Okay, one more. I think the experiment with the music while I'm shuffling was kind of a nightmare, in my opinion anyway. It felt kind of silly, so I'm just not going to do that. Okay. I'm going to do an 11 card Celtic cross spread. Oh, okay. Let me do one more shuffle. This is in the highest good for Leo for July. Okay. Perfect. These two came out together. Okay. I'm definitely going to be picking a few clarifiers for a few of these. So let's get started. Let me show you what's here. So the first card, which is your central experience for July, is the 2 of Swords. Your countering situation or challenge is the Queen of Pentacles. What's helping you is your own card, Strength, which is awesome. I'm really happy to see this here. At your core is the 4 of Swords. I can completely relate to this. Okay. Your recent past is the World. Your best possible outcome, and I am definitely going to be pulling a clarifier for this, is the Three of Swords. In your near future is the Fool. Right now, you are the Knight of Swords. In your surroundings is the Emperor. Your fears and hopes is the Two of Pentacles. As your general outcome, you have two cards that popped out together. You have the Nine of Pentacles and the Princess of Swords. So let's get into it. I think I'm going to pull a clarifier with your first card. Ah, okay. First I'll go into the original card. The Two of Swords is about indecision. It's about feeling torn. It's about not knowing what to choose. It's about being at a mental stalemate. And if you notice in this deck, it portrays it as a girl with two swords precariously balanced on either side of her. She has a blindfold on, and she's also walking on a tightrope above a stormy sea. This doesn't look safe, comfortable, or it's very precarious. Let's put it that way. This is very precarious. So generally this means feeling torn between what decision to make about something. You're afraid of picking the wrong choice, because if you do, it could cause you to go toppling down and everything fall into ruin. And so you can see it's almost a paralyzing feeling of, oh my God, I'm going to try to walk across this tightrope with these swords balanced. And honestly, you know, if you've ever been to the circus where you see people on tightropes, oftentimes they use one long rod or wand to help balance them that they wave back and forth in order to maintain their balance. Realistically, if she did drop one of these swords, it would knock her off balance no matter what she chose. So it's almost like being knocked off balance is inevitable no matter what you choose. It could just be of having to get to the end of the line before you make your decision once you're on solid ground. So your clarifier for this is the Lovers, which is also about choice. The Lovers, by the way, is a Gemini Major Arcana card. This is about the two sides of your brain, or the two sides of your being, your masculine and feminine. And when they're in balance with one another, the third eye can be activated because it's the combining energies of your right and your left brain, or your intuition and your logic. Here, I'll just hold up this one. It's always reversed. This camera thing is so confusing for me. Okay. So with the Lovers, that's one way of looking at it, is this is balance within one's being between the two aspects of yourself, your intuition and your logic, or your male and female brain, right and left brain. And notice the angel is right at the third eye spot, which is when these two things are combined, when they're working together, magic happens. You have greater abilities and greater powers than you had without those two energies working together. On a less esoteric way of looking at it, this is also about having to make a major choice in your life. This is like life-changing choices. This is about being at a crossroads. In astrology, Gemini is the sign that rules this card, and the planet that rules Gemini is Mercury. Mercury, in ancient times, before he was renamed Mercury, he was Hermes. And Herms were these posts that used to stand at the crossroads, which is oftentimes where trade happened, and where people brought their wares to trade with other people, or signs to letting you know which road to go on in order to bring a message to someone if you were a letter carrier or a messenger. So that all aside, this is saying you are at a major crossroads in your life. It could be deciding something like which partner to choose out of two choices, or what way to choose in your life as far as where you're going to go from here. And combined with the Two of Swords, this leads me to believe that you're having a really hard time making this choice. It's not an easy choice to make. But as I said, if you spend, I'm getting specifically that now may not be the exact time to really make this major choice. First, get on solid ground first, off of the tightrope, and then once you're on solid ground, you'll have a much better idea of how to proceed and what to choose. So let's move on. Your countering situation with that, or what you would consider a challenge, is the Queen of Pentacles. So something needs to, maybe a major choice needs to be made about career or money or how you support yourself. Or maybe you need to make a major decision about where you're going, what road you're taking before you can start to cultivate. If you're torn between whether you should move or whether you should stay, obviously you need to make up your mind about where you're moving to before you can start thinking about what gardens you want to plant, or what things you want to implement in your life that would cause abundance to occur. Or before you can cultivate, you need to pick a spot. And this can apply to a lot of different things. It can apply to relationships. It can apply to where you live. It can apply to jobs. Basically, your stable structures. I feel like the stable structures are just not there right now, or they're in flux. You're in an in-between spot in your life. And your challenge is you want to cultivate, but it may not be the best time to start that just yet. Or if you have started it, it's being slightly delayed because of major choices you need to make. So what's helping you, which I find wonderful, is yourself. It's interesting. In Cancer's reading, it was all about what was helping them was to ask help from other people. But what I'm specifically getting from this is that what is helping you is to help yourself, is to realize what you are capable of, even more than you already do, and that you totally have it in you to help yourself, ground yourself out, to have that gentle strength that is true Leo energy. If you look at her, she is gently, with respect for the lion, opening up the lion's mouth. And because the lion knows that he's respected, and because he knows she's being gentle with him, he allows her to do that. This is also about your inner beast nature, which can, it sounds, people have such a strange associations in their minds with the word beast. It's kind of funny. It's the instinctual nature. It's the part of ourselves that works purely on instinct. And she is a lady. She is gentle. She is kind. She is honoring her instinctive nature. She's being gentle with her instinctive nature. She's being respectful of all of the other sides of herself. where she can integrate her inner lady with her inner beast and come off as being kind, motherly, warm, caring, yet strong, and honors not only other people's boundaries, but honors her own boundaries, and she knows how to find that balanced path. So you are the epitome of gentle strength, and this is what is helping you, is to further continue to cultivate this natural ability you have. And of course, to be gentle with yourself, to be strong with yourself, and to help yourself. So at your core, I can completely relate to this. You need rest. You've been doing way too much. Before you can make a decision, you need to rest. You need to sleep soundly. You need to balance your mind. Perhaps you've been thinking too much, or possibly worrying too much, or just doing too much, thinking about all of the things that you have to take care of or do, to the point where you feel exhausted before you even begin. It's recovery from being overwhelmed. So this is saying, make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you rest your mind, and take quiet moments to just think about nothing. Or if you are going to think about things, think about something else other than you or your own life. Think about what books you want to read, or the places you want to go, or what food you want to eat for lunch. Not necessarily think about all of the decisions you need to make, all of the things you have to do. You need mental peace is what you need. And that's what you're actively, it feels to me like you're actively working on that. It's not like you haven't been trying. I feel like this is definitely where you need to be. I definitely got something about getting on safer ground before you make your decision, and also you need to rest before you can make a decision. That way, your two halves, your intuition and your logic, will finally be able to listen to each other. They can't listen to each other if you're not getting enough rest and you can't see things clearly, or you don't have enough inner peace. Okay? Another way of looking at that is you possibly may have been sleeping or resting too much, but I'm not getting that. That might be true for a particular person watching. So, the recent past. You have graduated from a long-term karmic cycle, and you have an old world that you have been in ending, and a new world opening all at the same time, which obviously is very tricky. The world card almost always portrays a dancing hermaphrodite, by the way, speaking of Hermes. That's the reason why in most decks the genitals are covered up on the world. Is the secret of the world is it's actually a hermaphrodite. And that makes a lot of sense because we were talking about the feminine and masculine working together, or being mixed to a third. And notice there's a triangle right over that whole area of this person's body. The two make the three. So, this being a whole new world opening up, you are finally in the last stages, if not just finished the last stages of this process, which involves regaining balance. You know, the world is almost always a dancer because you have to dance. You have to move your body and be flexible in order to allow things to unfold in their own natural timing. Notice she's not squatting, she's not sitting, she's not even just standing there. She has to dance with the turning of the world. So this also speaks of moving your body, being flexible in mind, soul, and body. Saturn, which rules this card, rules the joints of the body and also rules flexibility. So by being flexible, by allowing things to shift, you can bring about the final stages of this shift into fully the new world. So this is in your recent past, which means you're fully in your new world now. You're done with the old world now. You graduated completely. You're not still in the process of it. This just happened. So congratulations. As your best possible outcome, you have the Three of Swords. I'm feeling that this is really old. I'm going to pick a clarifier to go with this, okay? I'm actually going to pick 2 clarifiers. Okay. Okay. I'll just show you all 3. So this is your best possible outcome. The Three of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the Five of Swords. There we go. So, okay. As your best possible outcome, I'm getting that your best possible outcome is that in the past, there was a situation where you had a broken heart or a great deal of grief and tragedy and energy being taken out of your heart chakra because of extremely difficult, possibly abusive people or a person. This could be an abusive relationship. This could be, and that being said, abusive relationship, those 2 words don't necessarily have to mean romantic. It's an abusive relationship. Any kind of relationship, but I am getting something in here about an actual romantic relationship or a partnership where you wanted to believe that things could be worked out, or if you just picked the right words to say, if you just said things in the right manner, you might be able to get through to them on wanting the truth. Possibly this person was dishonest. Possibly this person was hurtful with words, and in some rare cases, outright physically abusive. And so because you tried, and I'm feeling like this has been going on for quite some time now, possibly years, you tried your best to get through to them, to try to make them understand how you felt or how they were acting, or to try to change the situation. But your best possible outcome is saying that you have finally gotten to the point now where you realize it's never going to happen. That sounds so, I can't think of the word right now. And eerily, through this whole process, it's actually honed your natural talents for communication because you tried every single angle possible to get through to them verbally. But now you see it exactly for what it is. In my case personally, this is true, but this is completely in the past. I am not in that relationship anymore. I'm sure for a lot of you it can be taken in a number of different ways. This could be a scenario that's still going on for you, or it could be something like me where it's already happened. But what I'm getting in here as your main message, as your best possible outcome, is I realize my cards are extremely scuffed. These are ancient cards. I've been working with the same exact cards for over a decade. And so it's kind of hard to see it, but I'm sure you can see that. there's a single sword with a hand holding it with eyes on either side of it. And it's funny, one of the eyes is almost covered up where you can't see it. Mainly you just see that one eye. And that reminds me of the third eye in the original card that I was telling you about, cards that I was telling you about. So it looks like your best possible outcome is you make your decision. The final decision, we're talking, this is it. You're not going to make this decision and then a couple of days later think, oh, well, you know, maybe I will hang on to it. No, you're done. You're either done because you fully realize this is never going to change, and no matter what words you use or no matter what you try, what strategy you use, you just can't seem to get through to them. Not for prolonged periods anyway. So you may very well, as your best possible outcome, realize the truth of your situation for good or ill. But ultimately, this is in your highest good, is to finally do this. You have tried everything at this point. Hopefully this makes sense to you guys. So that's your best possible outcome. As your near future, this is an amazing card to get. This is the Fool. And it's funny how we think of the word fool and as being foolish or being, in other words, stupid. But really what it means is that he is open to all possibilities. The Fool, if you notice, is the number 0, which is nothing. It has no substance. It has necessarily no specific energy to it. It is everything and nothing all at once. It's the unborn, unincarnated soul or spirit. So this says you are on to a completely new journey, which makes complete sense since you have the world as your recent past. You have graduated, now you're in your new world, and look at you. You're like a newborn baby. You're saying, wow, I've certainly never done this before. This is, who knows what's going to happen? Anything could happen. But notice there is one chalice up in the ethers that he is looking at. That is his dream. That is what he wants to see happen in this new world. That is the one thing he's really reaching for. And notice he has an angel behind him cheering him on and saying, I know you've never done this before. I know you're a complete novice in this situation, so I've got your back. I've totally got your back. You can totally do this, even though it can be scary because who knows what's going to happen. So this card is a card to do with trust and faith. Trust that you're headed in the right direction, that as long as you are on your fated or your path, your spirit path, that the signs will be shown to you. Once you get to the crossroads, the markers will tell you where to go. Each step forward will bring the next step in front of you where you can see it. So I think that's enough said on that one. So this is your near future. This is wonderful. Okay, I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. So where were we? Were we done with the Fool? I think we were. Okay. You right now are the Knight of Swords. This could mean that because perhaps you haven't been getting enough rest, or you've just been overloaded with too many things that you're trying to do all at once. You've become irritated. You may have, without wanting to, ended up being irritable with other people unnecessarily. It could be that you really not just need rest, you just need to get away from having to communicate with people constantly. Maybe you need some silence. Or this could also be saying that there may be somebody in your vicinity who's been acting overly irritated with you. And because that has consistently happened, you have gotten irritated back. Or you may have even outright gotten to the point where you're like, you know what? You need to stop. You need to stop. And afterwards you end up feeling guilty or sad that you would even have to get to that point, or that you even behaved in that manner. And so rest. Make sure you're getting enough silence. Make sure you're getting a break from being with people or taking care of people on a constant basis. And if you're waiting for some kind of a message, you should receive it very swiftly. And also, you may be flying in an airplane or swiftly going or coming from someplace, or going to someplace or coming from someplace. In your surroundings, you have the Emperor. And so this may be saying two things, or a number of different things. One possibility is that in your surroundings, things have gotten way, way, way too structured. You have way too many things that are almost feeling like they're boxing you in, or you have no room to be able to freely move. I'm thinking of the world here and how flexible she is, or what would you call a hermaphrodite? He, she? The world is all about flexibility. But the Emperor, as you can see, doesn't look all that flexible. He's kind of stuck on his throne. He's built up this huge structure around himself. He has the two mountain peaks in the background, which means that he's risen to a place of authority through his own hard effort and work and focus. But now that he's there, he or she, now that he's there, he's realizing, wait a minute, I've done all this work. I have worked so hard towards creating this space for myself, but now that I'm here, I feel like I don't have room to move. It's owning me. Sometimes, normally I don't associate major arcana with actual people. I count the court cards as being those cards that do that. Occasionally, however, I do get an intuition that it may have to do with a person. So in that case, this is the card that is ruled by Aries. So there could be an Aries in your surroundings that has felt too boxed in, like he or she doesn't have enough freedom, and is locked in by possible responsibilities or just upkeep of things. It's a leader. This is like the leader of all leaders. But as you can see, he looks a little bit stagnant, or a little bit too full of himself, honestly. He's the Emperor, after all. He's the King of Kings. But, on its good nature, this is all about creating stability for yourself. So if you feel as though you're walking on a tightrope, this can actually be a really good card to get in your surroundings. This says that things are about to get a lot more stable. Things are about to make a lot more logical sense on what the heck is going on and how you can stabilize the shifts that are happening right now. In which case, this is not feeling boxed in at all. This is feeling like finally you can sit down on your throne and rest a little bit, because now you know that it's not going to go anywhere. or crumble if you look away for 1 second. Now it's just there. So, as your fears and hopes, it's the juggler. 2s are about making decisions. Sometimes it's, with this card, it really just depends on the type of person that you are. If you are the kind of person that is perfectly fine with the role of multitasking, and you actually thrive off of having at least several things going on at once. But if you're not, it could be saying 2 things. It could be saying that you have been juggling way, way, way too much, and your hope is that you will finally be able to just focus on 1 thing, or at least 2 things instead of a gazillion things. And another thing is if you are a juggler just by nature and you like to have several things going on at once, your hopes are that you will be able to keep it up without dropping balls. So hopefully that made sense. As your general outcome, you have 2 cards. You have the Princess of Swords and you have the 9 of Pentacles. So the 9 of Pentacles says that as your general outcome, you are totally on the right track. You are almost complete with something that you have been working on for a very long time, and mainly on your own without hardly any help from other people, which you had to do in order to realize what you were capable of. It's about you're reaping your harvest. Things are getting to the point where you can start picking your fruits any day now. And this has been a long time coming, and you are basically almost at the finish line. So congratulations to you. And this is about feeling perfectly fine with yourself, not feeling as though you need anybody. And I want to say, concerning relationships, it's not saying that you have to be on your own. It's saying that you are fine with yourself, so you could take it or leave it. You're less likely to be abused, either mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, however you want to look at it. And it doesn't even have to be that intense to have to use the word abuse. It could just be you won't settle for anything that isn't what you want, because you are perfectly fine with yourself, with what you've got going on, and you don't necessarily need anybody. You might like to have a relationship, or you might like to have those connections, but you don't feel desperate because you need them. And you're willing to wait for the proper things to come about instead of settling for things in the meantime because you feel that there's something you need to fill. You fulfill yourself, basically. And that can be said on more of a general term, not necessarily involving relationships. It's with all things. And the other one is the Princess of Swords, which says not only are you cultivating your own ability to manifest without help or very little help, you are also learning new ways of communicating that are more lighthearted, carefree, fun, and flexible. If you think about children are constantly experimenting. They are constantly seeing, trying new things, seeing where things will take them without any expectations of what is to come. They just like to see what happens and learn as they go. And they communicate in a very straightforward, playful, non-self-conscious way. So you may also receive some kind of a message that is significantly going to lighten your load and make you feel more centered in what you're doing. whether it's an opportunity or a breakthrough or an offer, or just simply getting lots of feedback that leads you in the right direction, that are encouraging you. So between your two outcomes, your best possible outcome is to make up your mind to not fall prey to people who want to take your energy from you or control you in any way, and also to not engage in that or get triggered by that, which is kind of making me think of the whole being irritated by irritating people on a smaller scale. But ultimately, your best possible outcome is that you will finally make your decision. Uh-oh, my daughter's phone is going off. Hopefully that's not distracting you. And your general outcome is to play with communication. Don't take things too seriously. You should receive some kind of an invitation, offer, opportunity, or message that is very good news. And also things are stabilizing as far as business, money, or what you're doing with your life right now, which is nice to see because you do have the Queen of Pentacles as your challenge. So hopefully that made sense to you or helped in some way. Many blessings to you, and I think that's pretty much it. Take care of yourselves.